H at 7914 Gleason Drive, Knoxville, Tennessee, conducted by Kent Dollar, graduate student, History Department. It is Tuesday, October 8th, 1996.
I don't understand. I don't know.
Okay, when did you join the service?
June 1939.
And what units were you with? What unit or units were you with?
The Infantry Regiment, 4th Minnesota. We traveled to the south and maybe between 9 and 40, about 34th time. So that's at the Little Falls, and that's the battery during the summer of 40 years young. Went to the Philippines in the summer of 1940. Where I was assigned to the 45th Infantry Company South. So I was supposed to go to a summer month to sought people who would volunteer to go and do air observation in most of that flight time. And I would be a associate in the physical department. Only two of my residents to talk on. And so also a twin. So I was at the Veteran Observation Squadron. We really had no planes. And then I went back to the Fort Hood place to try to get back to the 45th Infantry and 57th and 31st American Regiment. I know it's something about the visit. The general policy of the division, and I was there. But we didn't have any control over the division. He wanted me to go out something on me. Well, did he come back and got something? I got something stopped. The river told him, so we need to get up something on me. Okay, so I I'm going to take it on. We had an airplane in one down at the 17th Series, the regiment paper, and the division something on it, and we wanted. So he told me, I was one of the that's what they were. And it was hot times, so we got on sometimes, we were going to the division something on me. Ratified January 1942, and at that point in time they had withdrawn the Aberdeen line back to the Orient to get the organization I was with for the British Army.
And you were actually on battalion, or were you
I was on the front.
And that's where you were serving in the front?
Yeah.
Now, when you were captured, what was it like? What actually occurred?
Well, I think we were very, very concerned. The night before the surrender, we had been told that the Rangers were going to be surrendered. And actually, I was trying to make a highway on the north side of the North Bay. And so that we have to be coming down through that. So, and I probably less, I could say, people that are making arrangements for what's going on, like flying or something. So the next day, just that night, late at the 8, we hear the story up, and I also knew there was an earthquake. Nobody believed me. I said there was an earthquake, I said I felt it. And it was later confirmed when I went back over there. And so that night, I was with the battalion, something on it, and exchange command arrangement there. We had self-propelled artillery attached to that battalion, and the types of attacks, and went from here on to Howard. One company was along the Bay Beach, and the other across the highway. And everybody assumed they'd come down the highway, but they didn't do that. They didn't do that. We should have the fact that that's fairly well, considering what we had to work at. absolute equipment and those that you want to trade. Or go there a ship all week to do and working at the time. I know rations for short. I mean, we were people in other rates in this unit at that point in time, and we told them to do something, they just went out and so on. It's all off. So, if anything, the best we could, and we actually had to kind of place playing bad and so forth, coming out and that hard work to kind of top of the boat like we coming in. After that, my boss was going to see in 1927 graduate West Point, but I had to go up the front line. I just the headquarters, something else that I like that. I'm on his back. I said, I can't go up there and do anything up there. He said, I'm calling, you're coming up there to straighten them out. I said, no, and I said, I can up there to come out and it's ridiculous. So I went. And was going to see the like you said it was. I mean, our society is still organized, so it's still the basis of this business to get us what we had. But they had it's really anyway. Now, if you and I'll see the tax of this stuff around the unit. I got down and it was very confusing on the place. He said, wait a minute, we've done a lot of work. If you got in there and had a whole bunch of that baby to the thing down through. You got in there and got away to do all those mechanisms, and you couldn't keep loving it. Certainly not 50 yards down front of it. You had a minus QE, but then every one of them. That's what you think about, you know, but it's not running to keep them on that. The wire was held to shelter, and you put up the wire, I went back there, the line fire stuff was right, so you just made it, the feet went down on the wire. So, I went back that the first night. And he was only subject of commanding of the general. And the Forniash was the head guy. And I think everybody at the time used to carry and hope that the button thing this year because when they do, they're going right on through. That's sort of what the problem was. He said, wasn't that way 2 weeks ago? I said, well, I don't know what it was 2 weeks ago, but I know what it is now. It's just like I said, it was easy to say. So of course, I talked to the officer out there. They said, well, we don't have any equipment. I said, I don't care. They said, you go out there and set those things on up, and you make sure you get them on some kind of fire protection line base. You got to get this wire on it. And just the fire they had to so he wanted to keep fire. I know that's what we had to do. So I know that's the story of what happened when they went through over on our left. And started cutting us off, and we fell back. So, back to it, and all the other then we were to back to the bar, and marched that night, probably along the river with the place. And because we were being sprayed the bomb, so we were trying to get these soldiers to get these curtains on the place. When you stay in place, you get in organized one place, walk out, and you have 15, 20 yards away, they get gone south. So it was impossible. And there was like but this was really good. And I was, I was talking to take the other at that time. So I had, in this battalion, he was going to, he was kind of U.S. Post Battalion, going to, and myself, second military, first point, because, he was trying to tell me that it was information, so he got it and did it that way. So I don't know where they were at the time. I think where the guy was called Wesley myself, so, not really about 40 yards from the highway. And they were told they were joining, and I was I don't know what to do with it. I picked it, it's kind of when it was on the ground. And, of course, it got me from it came up. It was just like he wanted to get out and go to the road, and go up the road. we did that. And yeah, so I guess we have to talk tomorrow and things like that. And I didn't know it was a story there, but there was a little story in there. They didn't run it. Many people do it in family. And I used to have machine like all around. People like, oh my God, get the volunteer. People try to make them someplace to go. But those of us who didn't do that, they stopped out of there and everything. They got me started doing that.
Have you heard something about the Japanese?
Oh, we were told that they don't have any Japanese money, any Japanese citizens on this convention. They think that would be the just the other thing, you could pick one up at the Japanese bar. You could put something in the curtain and you have to work. I have to work.
But you heard of not even possibly they would have actually shot you.
Oh, well, they did say only, but it was only March. So they just, I stayed for about 10 or early. I went the first or second day of March. I did it on him. And he was trying to say, we don't need that bag, but they were about 6 pounds a month. And I said, no. I said, you put that out. Surprise. I said, you know, half hour later on. And I was going to speak up to it. So he said, no, but I just took that with you. I said, you know, we're making it up to you guys. So we got into doing it all the time. Sunday night. And so when I marched out there, one night I was down on the road with most of the nights hoping to encourage it. Saturday by the time you could night and we would go down the street for the night when it wasn't a rule. And that's one I said, how do you like to make it? And I said, well, we say something over the last week we don't couldn't make it, go to a certain bar and meet the hut, and they would take them into the truck. So that morning when we got one out, I took him over to this sleeper hut, and I told him to leave him around. So if I go back to his house, much going on. And he never made that, he never made it into his house. And I said, I don't know what happened, but I was told, because I was listening, I was told that he and I was there and he was going there. And he was my age and he was in his house. And he didn't get back. But on the march out, you know, they wouldn't let that in the water, that's after the sun. And you just had to do your best to try to get some water. Just pour something up there because it was different. And fair-bow places, there was muddy water, they'd get that. For some of them, no one touched that shot was something like this, not the one touched that. You not get water, and it's something like the shot.
They just went out.
We went out to get the water, there was nothing well, off the spring on, you get the water, they get that. The first problem, beat up on the filter of the kind of gets a little water to look through that barrier, so they thought that they were going to get it to out, and that sort of thing. I guess we saw just a little shot to try to get water.
You think the treatment was worse for 13 soldiers to bring in emergency?
No, it was not. It was for this. I had to get water too. I wasn't getting anybody else. We didn't have that many guards. And the guards were 400 or 500 yards away. You didn't know who it was. I had to get what water I could, and I made sure it was drinkable water. Fortunately, somehow or other, I went up to the bottom line. I mean, they still don't know how they see the contact with that fire line, but I put a line on it and no water in that. And so I didn't put 200 pounds of this and that. And this was the real bugaboo of the prisoners of war who got into Uganda. They were dying like flies down there. They were dying just about. And it just a big job, basically. Not so easy. It was just foreign pictures of the different guys there. It was just too sad to go down.
I don't know about Uganda.
I got in there on April 15th. selling in San Fernando on the virtually for the next round. They put on the day prize next morning in San Fernando. They saw it at that time. They went up there. After they hired his dress, he closed the doors. And once they went over to the weather stuff, I mean, I was pretty well to back. And I mean, really, I just kind of supposed to do one night. And the sun came out, I had a steel truck. And of course, the people inside, the steel got hot. And they were screaming and yelling. They wanted to find someplace around the line. They stopped and I opened the door to get me drug store. It's still not several people that cut out on it. I was told by that group that was only group that I did this to. We went into the papers for jobs. We got on the line. Fortunately, and they were two out there. I knew that night. The papers were not running. They were down in pictures. When we arrived there, it was kind of interesting because I was better not to get it. They were full of complex Japanese customs and I was going to back home. And I don't know if I took it down and we were starting off here, but I was doing anyway. America, this is the first phase of 100 Years' War. My children will fight their children. Your fight will be in it again until we finally finish it. Obviously, don't expect them in the first place. Yeah, I'm going to do something like that. But I just don't expect them in the first place. Anyway, we got in there, and the first water conditions there was almost as bad as it was in March. I went over faucet for 6,000 people. Not trying to get water. And sitting in the same time, James, and the parents were down in the room. That's the summer, and getting around and get some water. People doing cooking rice. They got first day collected a lot to pick rice. I had I got some other left over. I would never, I'm sure I would really put in it, but I had no idea what I would do. Not with me, I didn't know any medicine. Yeah. Somehow I was able to get through cover through the final and then take the hospital practically and it's nothing else I think so. And the Japanese weren't inside the camp so much, but they was out and they were sitting out in the front, and every time they did that, I'd get 12 to 2, and I thought 12 to 5 for nothing. And of course the people around and nothing. A lot of them couldn't tolerate the rise. Now I could tolerate the rise, but they didn't get very much of it. And they cut down in Mexico, got 6,000 Mexicans in that. And we got to down and took people to that. And it's not today, but I mean, how long you going to survive? Filipinos across the road, and they're about 25,000, 30,000. We got 500 there. You never forget, I remember this little fellow, and detail story that people, Americans are like, when they're dying, it's up to different days, and they forget up there, and that man a couple of feet, and they take the water off, to the wind and take the feet. I was never on that road before. I just did it obviously bad. Did you really stay with concentrate on that? No, you didn't know. You didn't know. You didn't know. You said, 50 days or 6,000. I mean, that crossed your mind. But you just work the day to day. We realized that 8 to 15 to the 52. I'm not up to 500 to buy it. Cincinnati people are lying. Cincinnati tried to have a train movie. I don't know how to get back to it. It was one. They were test making these people from Forniash. And they released most of it, right after we left. And got into back one situation that we were up there. A lot of situations. So they didn't harass us enough. I just still got something. We thought it was something. The one we were all we still got and it's still on the time and stuff like that.
They never protected the town.
Yeah, well,
I've never seen it.
well, no, it was all ridiculous. We'd be out there for hours in that town. And I always bring back I found a cabinet or two of quinine. It was not going to flow through. They were trying to put me out there in the corner, but it didn't come back. So finally, I had no source to quinine. I kind of turned myself into the hospital. That was basically, hopefully, when I find hopefully a doctor might come out against the quinine. I got over that first thing again, and I think 50 days, I guess, and of course this stupid that was in my head in the family. He was over there, and he had a couple 5-game tablets. She gave me, and that might my friends and kids were, so I got back to the other side. Now, while we were there, of course, we divided this into brother groups. One state, 39 good shots. The first basically you had to hear the group and you had to arrange it, hey, if you want to go, we're not going to start shocking, but let us know so we can go too. I was busy. I think that was the deal on my group, and I think that's like how I got that from there.
Did you ever see the other 9 get shot?
No. What I did see was, I was in the first one inside, and the campfire was in, seven people had gone out to get through, and they got caught coming back in. And I was in a group that had across from the Japanese line capture to the road, and we got those 7 and had them up to the post. LC, in the morning, and left from there in the next time, and held it on about 4:30 in the afternoon. And then I came home with the street routes and the hill routes, and with a caravan park went between him and the 70-yard shot. He took off right with the process to the water. And they took him in the other place, they took 4 of them out of the time. So they did the trade, they shot him, took the old hospital out, and they said, I see that over there. They shot him over there. Of course, every now and then they would get these citizens come to the sing along song, whatever it was, and they had the stuff in it. One time we fold between the short shoulders and his head. And I said, well, I can't picture that. She didn't never believe it. It was American troops in the country doing that kind of thing. Of course, a lot of it was around by different people being hurt, and then around the final stuff. This would happen all the time. But people were dying primarily.
Now, was the food preparation handled by Americans?
Oh, yeah.
And they just, was it well structured?
It was pretty, that's why we organized it. Of course, everybody was there, everybody was considered the food, they were considered the road favorites and all that kind of thing. And we should get that right. Right before I left, I was still trying to get because I was trying to figure out, I would be honest about it, I wasn't because nobody was thinking anymore after everybody else was first time, and I watched all this going in. They weren't inside so much. It came from the outside. That's very well known inside. I'd say some people might have been found inside. I was never found inside that church. It's October of 22, my boss wanted to own the pond years ago. I didn't move up to second floor or something in the something around Houston one. And we could go between and we up so we have been placed on a beach that we go to Japan. And so I got coffee down there to Japan. And I said, Japan, I said, see my name in there. And I said, I want to get out of here. For the airplane to fly and suddenly drop the wings off. People go, I'm not sure after I just went out there. People are like, they don't think you can. You know, I said, I'm not sure out here. I said, can you see my name on that list? I said, I'll do it now. I put my country now on that list. And if he was going to start out there, but 44, I was going to vote. And we had a vote that we'll look at people that still. I just took my this one didn't back. I know that. And here the post office on there was no list. Anyway, we got this on this boat, and I got the mail and trucking, and I guess like me, I took about mine home. And 3 or 4 quarter pounds, I was hated because no, they're not really for people way down. You see people sit and sometimes choose to go down. You turn it to something to put like a can down. Food and listen, when I get sad about that, I just start to think of 3,000 people. And that's one. I know that's the way people out here about it. Because it knows. They're not little medical facilities. You know, there's God's name, but some people have people down here. There were people who said that and nobody else had to connect people I never knew and connect people with us. Something I just stop what they gave me. And of course the doctors had inhaled medication. Now one of the ones down, I said, someone had a doctor's finding. And they worried about me. Sometimes along the line where somebody gave me a one or two finite, and I had them around the children too. The last medication I ever had, got me a full time, I never had this process this day. So I got a plug, after the time, and it's time to actually get a gallon of it. $1,500 card, I don't know about it. It's actually, I had to galvanize some time for galvanize sheet metal. There's no lot of plastic. Anybody could see it, any patient could decide to do it. But one thing I could have received the quite incident of actually just in organization. That one was, but in any event, I went out there and we were ready for it. And we were stuck on the ground for it. And I think it's nice. So they got the break for everything to do it. And they were on the side of the factory? No, we're on the side of the factory. In fact, we also lived right about where I was. More than much as time before we galvanized did a few super-young disorders and that's, we had two guys, just 2 young guns for children hunting, or we had, I think we must have to be careful now. I have too much time. I was shooting on that. And of course, I had to work like the rest of them. I was on the biggest in the yoga fall. And so, and I had to tell people, and I didn't see many things that I had to tell much of the responsibility and things like that you do.
See you better?
No, because they were living with it, they started inside. And we had the rules and regulations and degrees, we had to have to put there, I guess. There you go. I got to time because I didn't understand what the other was. And something hit me, I stole it. That's how I wanted to go to do. They had one something we wouldn't get out, and I said, we was a bloody top. So there you go, and they let us in there. They let those little bastards do that.
They struck you.
Just for him, just the part. I just fall down. Yeah, I just fall down. And we could get minutes all over. So, I wish we did that. It was easy to sort out. But still, I remember one day we were talking about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We were kind of shocked now. No response about nothing. And nothing happened to go in there. It's just, I'm not right here. They're going to bring us in here at this point now. And so, everybody had their things to do with their head. And we took all the courage. And they had to start sending us around there for us. And they put us down on our knees. And somebody confessed there's something about her shoes. I heard it was Red Cross shoes or something that went through there. Somebody was taking it. I was never sure it is what happened. He said, over some shoes, American shoes. So they issued over there. And they had their main suspects, steel plate. And that's steel plate. And they had their knees over the edge of that sharp steel plate. The rest of us were down there on the senders. And they were marching around there with bamboo sticks, and if you weren't uncomfortable enough to swat you over the head. And we were there for hours. And they wanted somebody to confess about what it was, taking the shoes, what it boiled down to. And of course we were there, and it got dark, and it got cool, it got chilly. And nobody was saying anything. And so I guess I was 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. A couple of them said they were involved. So they gave us back our clothes then, and they took those two, and they put their arms up the back of the head and tied them up to the ceiling, and they were up on their tiptoes, and of course they were in excruciating pain. One of them was an old chief Navy officer. He didn't make it, and I don't know whatever happened to the other one. But they took them out of camp. So I know the chief Navy officer didn't make it. I didn't know who the other one was. So that was, I guess, the worst incident occurred there. They occasionally tell the officer we didn't have to work. We say, okay, we're not going to work. We spend an hour or so, and they come back and say, well, if you don't work, you don't eat. You don't eat food. If you don't work, okay, you require us to work, we will, but you're not supposed to make us work, and in the Geneva Convention, we're not supposed to work. They say, well, you eat the emperor's rice, you got to work. And so back to work we go.
Were the food rations better when you worked in the factory?
Oh, I don't know what our ration was there. I suppose we were getting, they weren't good. I'll tell you what, how do you tell? At least we had some contact with Japanese. And I lived right down below where I worked. And I knew when somebody died and it was going to be taken out. And I'd take my Japanese boss, and I'd tell him we starved to death. We had to have more food, and we couldn't work this way. And another one died today, or another 2 died today, and I told him, they'll take them out right now. So when you say, show you. And I knew when they were going to take them out. And he finally became convinced. And they finally started I don't know where they got the rice, but they brought me in 26 kilo bags of rice. And we all had an extra canteen of rice out there on the job. Nobody knew it, but we got extra rice out on the job. When they cooked it down, I was working on the running the furnace, which heated the galvanizing material that they ran the metal through, sheet metal through, and had a door about that wide. And I had to put the coal in and take the ashes out. But you could take a canteen cup and about that third bowl of rice or a little less, fill it with water and put a lid on it, put it upside down that door, and you had a canteen of rice there a little bit. So we fared pretty well. Additionally, of course, when they found out how bad things were, they would get little special issues of tempura or ice cream. Not a whole lot, but some. And three of them up there on the job would take one of my people or myself and give them their little special ration that they got in the factory there. So I didn't lose anybody on my detail there. We came out.
So it's almost as if it depended on
where you were.
And the Japanese guards and
how you lived with them, how you worked with them. Of course, there's a lot of antipathy towards a couple of soldiers. One a Marine, one a soldier that were pretty solid with the Japanese, and I was told a little bigger after I left there that some of the other soldiers somehow they got some kind of tubercular rice and gave it to see Sontag with the, I can't remember his name, anyway, died in prison camp. Or whatever other numerous incidents that occurred there. But I mean, you got hit, but not on the job. The people, the Japanese, the ones I worked with, we slowed production. Their production went straight downhill, and we got there. Had a little Italian named Marcetti that was on the line running that stuff through. And Japanese thought he was funny, and he would entertain them and handle them. None was going to do that. And I told him, I said, hey, that's fine, but just don't overdo it. That's it's self-kill out here. And they sent they were organized just like in the military. The white stripers were non-commissioned officers, the yellow stripers were officers. And we had our top man, our boss, was 3 or 4 white stripers. So when their production went down, they sent 3 yellow striper over to see what was going on at our place. And he stood around there and looked wise for a while. And I guess 2 or 3 weeks, but nothing ever changed. I was in the factory. We got 400 of us arrived there. And we got there about the 1st of November of 42 and left on the 1st of June of 43 and went to what we referred to it as the officers' propaganda camp down in Zensuji, out in Shikoku. And they had prisoners of war from the British, Dutch East Indies, New Zealand, Australia, those were the officers. And the people who were taken off of Wake and Guam, both the officers and enlisted people. And both the only enlisted people we had there were people from Wake and Guam. The officers were from different areas, there must have been about, I know the exact figure, about 700 of us there in total. I'd say 400 American officers and 100 sword officers and a couple hundred enlisted people. Now the treatment there was fairly decent, and they had Red Cross parcels. And while I was there, about from June of 43 to June of 45, got 11 parcels. That basically saved our lives. But still, they had the internal guard. And if you just did anything other than sit on the edge of your bunk, you just laid back, and the guard got up with you, you just come over and knock you down. Shove you down the stairway. of course, there wasn't that much to do. Theoretically, there was some work details that sent us out to open up new plots of ground to put in the garden. Theoretically, we were going to get what we raised. We knew we weren't. And so we had to do that every so often. And that felt, well, had to, I never got on these fancy details, had to raise some rabbits and raise some chickens. Assignment to that detail was good because you got a little rabbit and some eggs and that kind of thing. I never made that detail. I guess that was just for the people who've been there. We came in, the Philippines came in and rabbled in arms. We had nothing. I mean, I walked out of the baton with a short sleeve shirt, and a pair of trousers, and a pair of shoes. And I had a canteen cup. And that's about the equipment that I had. Also, they issued us some stuff from Alvin's factory that we wore. And it was, of course, it was cold in the winter. We got there in November. It was chilly. There was some blankets to sleep with, but no heat. And, but the food was so poor. Everybody had suffered with malnutrition of some kind. I had pellagra, beriberi. I was just people with beriberi. Kind of interesting and sad, but a lot of them, and I had the same thing. I did what they call the dry beriberi, and that's where your feet just burns and tingles and you can't stand it. And a number of them put their feet in cold water and kept doing that. And ultimately, you got gangrenous. Now, I would get up and go down, stand on the cement floor down in the john. That would give you some relief. And, but anyway, those people who put their feet in the cold water, got gangrene and it breaks in their feet. And they lost toes and lost the bottom of their feet. And, I remember we were standing muster one night, and we were about 40 officers there. And we were in a bay above the head of the hospital area, but they didn't have enough room for Knoxville. So had the bay down below, also had people like that. And down there we counted off. Told him, my God, there goes another toe. And a major lost the bottom of his foot there, and he got back. I don't know, maybe got back, but he did. While I was there, we out of the 400, we had 100 over. Well, I think 104 ultimately, but 100 had died when I was there. While I was there, but that was in the factory at Yotagawa. Well, one of the incidents involved there. We didn't have a lot to do, and somehow other people had gotten in there with playing cards. You'd be amazed at what people carried into prison camp. I didn't carry anything. And
surprised they weren't eating.
Yeah, but they had a lot of playing cards. I don't know where they came from. And so we played bridge and poker, blackjack, and we had it. I was dealing the cards one night. I was the banker that night, and I was dealing. And normally you were alerted if the Japanese guard walking through. Somehow we didn't get the message. And just before they were to count us, and I was paying off the last man, Bob Ray. And I don't know how many. I had lots of yen. And you're not supposed to have more than 50 yen. And you had no place to spend it. But every month we all put in for 50 yen. We were depositing the rest of it for their war effort. We were supposed to get the salary of an officer of the same grade under the Geneva Convention. But they was giving us 50 yen, but we couldn't have more than 50 yen. But every month everybody going for 50 more yen. So it had a lot of yen flowing around there. When they were good, you couldn't buy anything with it. I was paying off with Bob Ray. This Japanese guard came in. Of course, I had several hundred yen. He had lots of yen. And of course, they took old Bob and me down to the jail. Within the jail, had a jail there with 2 or 3 cells. and took all of our clothes. This was wintertime, cold as hell, and put us in that cell. And, well, I tell you, we cuddled up, trying to keep warm. And I kept telling my boy, I said that they're going to come out and let us out after they counted everybody. Another interesting is we didn't have any stuff like especially with dead. And one evening we heard that they found some rat poison in the rice that had been cooked, and that they had thrown the rice away. And they got me finishing more rice. And found out what it was. Basically, enlightened who Razzarini was a chemical engineer. And he said, hell, he said, I can recognize these that stuff. I said, let's go get some. So we did with the Red Cross boxes. They got so big, let's get the Red Cross box and go get it. So we did. I guess we were the first batch. We just looked at it. We were the only ones doing that. But then that beef and hell is like in yard and we ate that. That was just one of the things you were willing to do as a people that you. There was there was a army installation like across the fence, inside the fence, the camp, had barbed wire, and then about 8 or 10 foot high board fence all the way around. And there's just old man, of course you could smell it, but you walked down there. So we heard that, hey, people were going over that basis. And so we go on, and I said, well, that's a good idea, let's just do it. So we got up that night, and first we went under the barbed wire and under the fence, and he was leading away, and of course we spotted the guard, and somehow he must have touched one of his around. So we waited until he'd gone by that area, and then we did come back and maybe somehow it was 15 minutes, it took him to walk all the way around. So we'd hustle over that, he's going to lead the way. He got under the fence, and about that time he got stuck. He said, good enough. About that time saw the guard approaching, I laid no guards to lay still, and I hustled back into the building and waited for the guard to leave. And the guard went on by. I was sure he saw me back getting back, but he must not have figured they'd follow me into the building. So we backed off. He got back in. If you got over there, there's windows to face. You tried to pull it down windows open. But the news that question got me started looking at everybody had a stand formation, pull up the pocket, see if there's any breadcrumbs. Things like that.
Now you said you were a captain.
Yeah, I was.
When you were a captain, do you think your treatment was different because you were an officer?
Probably at Zensuji, it might have been.
Well, this last camp you were at.
At Zensuji, at least they didn't. Fortunately, you had Red Cross boxes, but the officers got a ration was 1,200 grams of rice a day. This was people at 3,600. They were working. Especially when you're working, you have to get other stuff, and they managed to face the marine and they could go on. They did. They didn't big weight for there. They did well. The rest of us, the rest of the people took care of them. In case they got down to dock, they would sell there. They sold their red cross boxes. We could, put it in the end together. I don't know. And the enlisted people, so they were probably weighed more than they'd ever weighed in their life while in that camp. While the rest of us, well, I'd got down to about 100 pounds. And so really, they were better off than we were. Cause theoretically, we didn't have to work at this camp we were in. It's in Cecil. But they insisted we go out and work this in their so-called gardens. But insofar as physical treatment is concerned, they would be. They also got the same kind of punishment treatment as the rest of the people against quite a few people for that. And of course, you got these plain men. They treat their own people the same way they treat us. And that's the way it worked in the Japanese Army. You see in the camp. You had the corporal beat up on the private first class, private first class beat up on the private, and all up and down the line. That was the way they disciplined one another, apparently. I saw it happen. If you're a grade above, you were top dog in the Japanese Army. We didn't have anything like that in our Army. No, I would say overall, it'd be my guess that a lower percentage of enlisted people got back than the officers would be my guess. But it's primarily a problem of discipline, I think. I took as good a care as I possibly could of myself, and I recognized what the problems might be. You asked about the blood brother groups. I was told this particular yesterday. Glenn Rice, who I knew quite well, was a friend of mine. And he was, because he was in Branch 1 and was invited in blood brother groups, but he was sent out on a detail. And when they got out of the detail, before they were organizing the blood brother groups, one man had escaped. And they came to him, the one he had to produce 9 people to be shot. And he wasn't going to do that. And the lady let him go and talk to people in Manila or something, because they hadn't done it. They hadn't invited the blood brother groups. And so they took him into Manila. And they finally said, well, we'll do 5. And you got to pick out the 5. That was a dilemma. I said, well, the only thing I know is just take 3 above and 2 below the name of the person who escaped. Is that right? And they, according to him, I didn't see it. What happened? After the Infantry, of course, when the war was, we knew that it was original. I was in the Infantry and heard people yelling, "Skyriders, Skyriders!" And I went out and saw the airplane at the vapor stream up there. Barely see him. And I said, hey, for my money, that's the first American airplane I've seen since the 3 in the Philippines. And that night, they bombed and they got us steel where it shouldn't. So that was obviously what we was up there on reconnaissance. They decided that the Americans would be coming into on the island of Shikoku, where the Tsuji was located. So in June they moved us back up the island of Honshu, and put us up in the mountains of Roshi. And there they were going to cut the ration rice from 1,200 to 900. And there's no way you can make people like that. 1,200 wasn't enough to keep you alive. And there were 4 of us that decided while we were in Tsuji that things got too bad and we looked like we weren't going to make it. We were going to take off. We were going to try to get over to the west side of the Japanese islands, Honshu, and try to steal a boat and get to China. That was all we thought we'd try to do. And, I mean, if you're not going to make it, you're going to make it. Well, just do it, try it. So, Lieutenant Smith and Sam Dillard, who was another lieutenant, Lou Lazarine, and myself, 2 captains, 2 lieutenants. Smith had been captured down in the Dutch East Indies, an artillery officer. And Dillard was a pilot, and Lazarine was a chemical engineer. And I was not sure anything. I was an infantry officer. And They came down to Lazarus and myself. They lived up below. The captains were down below at River Russian. And of course, you had about that much space to sleep in. It was crazy. All the space around it, that was it. They came down to see Lazarus and myself. Time to go. And by that time, of course, we heard the airplane up above. My Lord, they were roaring all night long. And looked out and saw the gooey on fire burning. And I said, no, this war's just about over. I said, there's no time to go now. This thing's just about over. And I said, well, we gotta go. I said, well, I think the war's about over too. He said, no, this is not the time to go. And of course, we decided how we're going to work it. We're going to try to go to break in the Japanese warehouse and get enough food to carry it so you could go walk at night and hide up in the daytime. And that night, once we told goodbye, it had an internal guard, and I was on from 12 to 2 or something like that. What's the Japanese going to say? And we found 2 people gone in the morning, and this and that, they hadn't heard that. Who are they going to look to? The internal guards, or how are they going to handle this? In any event, we counted off. They said, came by and said they were leaving. And of course, the lights go out. And so Lou and I were sleeping side by side. And the dogs started barking over by the warehouse. And we had agreed that if we couldn't get the food, we'd come back in. That wasn't much percentage going on. That's what we had thought anyway. And of course the dogs barked, but nothing happened. Of course the next morning the Japanese came in to count us off, and 2 men missing. They counted again, 2 men missing. We recounted again, and still two men missing. So what they did, they got the people on either side of the things that were missing, and 4 of them took them down and stood them up outside their office at the headquarters of the Roshi. And they had them stand there all day long. And but they didn't do anything to them, except make them stand there apparently. But anyway, in the late afternoon of the following day, of course, they got these 2 people who got them all hogtied. Come back to the camp, of course, theoretically, show them how they escaped. So I don't have any problems. I could get gotten away any place I ever was as a POW. There's no place you couldn't escape from. The problem is what you do after you got away. And fortunately, it was just before the war ended, and I later saw Dillard Smith. And I asked him, what will happen? I said, we heard the dogs barking. Did you get where? No, those damn dogs. We decided to go on anyway. Well, how'd they catch you? I said, well, we didn't find a place to hide during the daytime. And then early in the morning, a little Japanese boy saw us. And said we knew to dig us up then. So, anyway, they said they told they were going to take him to Tokyo, try him and shoot him. But the war ended before that happened. Well, another interesting anecdote, you might be surprised. After the first atomic bomb had been dropped, apparently, but they had honeybucket detail up in New York, and they had never done that before. And of course, we protested. They couldn't put up and do that, and they said, "You have no reason to protest. If your nation has used an illegal kind of weapon on us, we have complained to Geneva about it." And of course, you wonder what new and illegal kind of weapon they're talking about. And Captain Eugene Conrad said, "By God, I bet they got an atomic bomb on them." That's what he said. And I was amazed when we got out. This is what happened. And I later saw Conrad, and I said, "Hey, in the world did you ever come to the conclusion they had dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese? Nobody ever heard of such a thing." He said, "Well," he said, before I came to the Philippines, Westbrook paper had written a column, I'd have read that, and it talked about this being possible, feet possible. And he says, I just decided that must have been what happened. So I thought that was interesting. You're more interested in my attitudes after I got
Well,
back.
let me ask you about that. Let's switch to the post-war period here. Let me begin by asking you your feelings today, or just in the last few years, or even after you got out or were liberated, your feelings for the Japanese.
I've never had any great antipathy. Now, of course, they wanted us all to describe incidents and so forth before we left over there and against different individuals. Well, I thought of any number of ones, but I knew what was going to happen. They wanted to keep me over there and become a witness, and I didn't want to do that, so I did nothing. so there's a lot, but any number of them did. And they got started to stay over there, got to sit back over there to testify. But I didn't, and I never had to go back to testify. And I knew part of that. There's a certain amount of antipathy, of course, for the Japanese, but I never looked back. I was when I was in Korea, I went over to Japan on R&R. Back when people be congenial, and I never really had that great a problem. I could understand in a way, I guess, that they didn't have anything, that people were hungry. We decided at Zensuji, we decided those damn women that weren't have bacon, we were in these big old pantaloons there, they were stealing that place blind over there, and they would never know who was stealing this stuff. They assumed it was the women. But they were having a hard time of it, and what they were doing to us, pretty basically, what they did to themselves. That was my attitude.
So would you draw a distinction between maybe the Japanese people and the Japanese military, particularly the captors or the guards?
Yeah, in a way, but they've been raised in that kind of environment, I think. Now, I'm not sure what the relationship is between father and son, or whether it's that authoritarian or not. So I would suspect it's much more so than it is in our country. I mean, I would never laid a hand on all my life that I could ever remember by my parents, but I suspect there are not many Japanese that could say that. Oh, yeah.
Well, you had mentioned that you had beriberi and pellagra and malaria.
I'll tell you an interesting story. When we were released, and typically the Japanese just bunched as close as they possibly could. Any kind of transportation. Went up there and to Rokuroshi and had streetcars of some kind, and they had us hanging out the windows in the back in so tightly. And on the trains going up, of course, they had the lines down so we couldn't see, but we would peek out. We could see some of the instructions. We went up there, Yokohama, and the place we went through. So when we came back, of course, we all had a whole seat. And the First Cavalry Regiment sent a company out. We weren't rescued until September the 8th. We were told, because we were officers, and we stayed where we did what they told us. Stay where you are. You'll have somebody come and get you. And so we stayed up there on September the 8th. But when it was First Cavalry Division, it sent a company, troops, up to get us. And of course, they had everything arranged where we had lots of room. And they came in, August 22nd, 1945. The Japanese commandant, Japanese captain, assembled us all outside our barracks and told us that the Emperor had brought peace to the world. We knew what he meant. So, of course, we know those airplanes were out there too. So, we took over. And we scrounged down to the little village, Rokuroshi, and we got what food we needed and some sake and that kind of thing. And September the 2nd, the airplanes that they finally found us, was the B-29s finally found us, with our camp up there in sort of the mountain. And 3 old B-29s came in there on September 2nd, swooped down over those barracks we were on, and of course wagged their wings. of course, we were told we got instructions on the radio. We were told to stay there and identify our camp. And we used some sheets or something to identify as the POW camp. And we went up and started circling and chopping his food. And 55-gallon barrels of food welded together and dropped on the parachute. Those things would break loose from the parachute. We had to get the hell out of there because they were dropping that down on top of us. So they've got enough food to feed an army. Yeah. And of course, I think everybody got kind of sick that night, gorging ourselves on American chow. But anyway, I was going to tell you, we took us into Yokohama, and actually MacArthur said at the train, tears come out of that man's eyes. Because we were decrepit looking out there. And they ran us through they took our clothes, babies, and us new uniforms. And I was aboard ship. I was on the Storm King, if I recall. Navy ship. And they were told, anytime we wanted to eat, they would feed us. So we went to the Philippines, and they were so ready to be processed, and they did whatever processing they were going to do there. And I know John Gallup, the fellow who gave me the quinine. There was a boat going out, and I said, I'm going to want to eat it now. He said, I'm going to fly. He said, I'll meet you there. I said, well, you may not get there. I'm going to go away. I'm going to get out of this place. I don't know if it's supposed to be 1 or 2 days. So, and they had the same instructions. When I got to, we got to Letterman in San Francisco, and I was there overnight. And they sent us to Clinton, Iowa, which was nearest my hometown, and the Army Hospital. And I got there, I put on so much weight that my feet wouldn't, my bones wouldn't carry it, and they had to build some special life support, so to support the weight I put on. So I put it on real quick like. Interesting enough, of course, they decided I had cancer and sent me to Walter Reed. Went to Walter Reed, and they said, no, I have you don't have. Anyway, I went back to Clinton, and they gave us a couple of weeks R&R down Miami Beach. That's where I met my wife. And then I'd asked people to Randolph Field because while I went into the just aerial observation program in the Philippines, I decided I would be flying this damn thing. So it took me to sit back there as an infantry aerial observer, and I'll be flying it. So I put in, go back to Randolph Field as student officer, pilot training. And I came back through to at the end of your tour to the Philippines. So I said, I want to go to Randolph Field. Well, they sent me to Randolph Field, but I said, well, I took the physical again, passed it again. And now I had this order. At the end of my tour duty, said my tour duty's over. You know, I'm the only flight school. And they said, well, now you're over age, and there's no waivers for age. So I got out, went through law school, went back to the state of service.
Did you have any difficulty in law school?
No.
Any lack of concentration, anything you may have thought?
I never looked back. I just put that all behind me. So like when I retired, I never looked back.
What about any physical problems? I know that you said you had some.
Oh, I've had all kinds of physical, whether it's called by malnutrition. Of course, you try to blame it on the service; they don't accept it. But I've had the gout and diabetes, and I had colon cancer, which I said the Army gave it to me because they put me on colchicine for my gout and left me on it until I got a cancer of the colon.
Recurrences of malaria?
No, it's kind of strange. It's kind of strange to the medical profession. I had the malaria so bad, all the quinine I ever had, but probably I might have had 1 or 2. No more. I never had more than 1 or 2 5-grade tablets of quinine, and no further. Last time I had it was on the ship, going through the thing. Well, that was an awful thing. 21 days or whatever it was being aboard that ship. So you can't imagine. Worse than cattle. After all of these. Yeah.
Any bouts with depression or anxieties?
No, I wasn't built that way. I just didn't remember. Never looked back. I guess I'm more an optimistic kind of individual.
What about your business after? Now, you did not retire in the military, did you?
Well, after I retired from the military, yeah.
Okay.
I retired, yeah. I had 20.
You went to law school then while you were
I
still
had
in the
20.
military?
No,
Okay.
I had 27 years plus active duty, and got 3 years credit for either one, the law school or I was reserved before I went in. So I retired 30 years duty. And then after I retired, I came back and was prosecutor here in the Attorney General's office. And then retired in the Army in '69 and took this job. Well, in the meantime, I was a year or so with Francis Edmund, and I didn't like this practicing law particularly. Too many, not for me. And so they were so nice to me, I just couldn't say I'm leaving. And I was offered a job to prosecute. And I said, well, nobody never complained about you couldn't get a job. And I said, well, I'll do that for you and maybe find a better situation. I took it and I said, well, I like what I'm doing. I think of having some impact on this community because I was pretty well calling shots as to what happened there. And so I stayed with it until 1983. And I said, man, this is crazy. What do I do working around that work like this? And so I retired from that job in '83.
Well, after you retired, do you think more about your POW experiences?
Well, only in the sense that it gave me a chance to start participating in some of these meetings and so forth. But well, my wife and I, it sort of amused. I didn't want to belong to anything. I didn't want to think anybody that the government owed me anything for having been a prisoner of war or anything like that. It was all I wanted. I wanted what I earned. That's what I wanted, but I didn't want anything out of it. Too many of these organizations. That's all they're interested in, trying to get something for nothing. No, I was never part of that. One of the things I stayed completely away from for a long time, and I thought, well, I'll go around and try to meet some of the people that I've known over the years, particularly this Insuji group. Real fine bunch of people that were there. And I enjoyed that group and enjoyed getting together with them. And we have, of course, it's completely different. I was judge at the General Court for 20 years. And we meet every year. And it's a good group of people. We don't, except for the local POW meetings, we don't get too many others internationally and that kind of thing. Never tried to do anything either for them or I never want to get too involved.
What about nightmares or dreams? Do you still dream?
Oh, I guess in these for several years, I guess. And my wife always complained about it, but I didn't remember much about it. So she said, "Oh, it'd be awful at night sometimes." But that was just didn't happen over a long period of time. Apparently, for first, you have to ask her because she's the only one that's ever mentioned to me. I don't remember it.
Does she mean crying out in the night,
Yeah,
or just tossing and turning?
Oh yeah, and talking and screaming and turning on. I remember it. She says it happened. I've never said anything to the VA about it. They always want to talk to your wife, and I'm going to talk to my wife.
And you don't think that your captivity affected any of your work or any aspect of your work?
No. I think I do this physically, and I'm not sure about physical well-being. When I retired from the Army, it's voluntary. I could have stayed on another 10 years if I wanted to, about 10 years. But I decided they weren't going to make me a general. They would come down to my name, didn't select me the first time. I said, well, it's over. I got my 30 years, just quit. But I don't know,
Well, let me ask you, when you were working in Japan.
I was going to tell you, but I'm trying to think when I retired. Of course, they gave you a physical examination on your retirement, see whether you get a disability or not. And I was at Fort Bragg, and they came back with pretty much a clean bill of health. And I wrote them a nasty letter. And actually, they didn't handle it properly. I wrote a nasty letter telling them that it was difficult for me to accept the idea that the prisoner were under severe malnutrition for 3.5 years. Wound up with, at that point, gout. But this hasn't adversely affected my physical condition in any way. And that's the last I ever heard of it. Now, they were supposed to consider that as an appeal. They didn't do it. Technically, I could have gone back and said that be hearing, but I didn't do it. But, I mean, in your mind, when you wind up with gout, and it hadn't been in my family, it's been diabetes, and kidney stones and that kind of thing. In your mind, you can't help but think, well, you want to start it back in the EOW. All the days of malnutrition. So I'm labored in my mouth and everything. I'll never forget the first night we got to the factory in Osaka. I never, we scattered around to Tommy's, looking on the ground. And then my next to me was a Lieutenant Smith, who graduated from Stanford University. I hadn't known him before then. I wake up the next morning and he's dead. He's right beside me. I cannot think what a waste of a Stanford graduate here, just dying like this. That affected me, I guess, as much as anything when I was at POW. Yeah.
Well, that's all I have to ask. If you want to add anything, this would be a good time. You said a lot. I don't know if you could add anything.
Well, I didn't thought too much about it. I didn't thought about it. I thought it was last week. It didn't make a difference to me because I told you we're here all the time. My wife is, I don't know what, maybe terminal, maybe not. If you don't chemo, they don't know if it's going to work or not. So she's still, I have to help her around. So I hadn't thought much about it. What year are you in school? You a graduate student?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's your,
I'll go ahead and turn this off.
what's your